Okay.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. We're going to go ahead and get started here, and we appreciate everybody hopping on to learn today about Wealthscape Investor. So we recently covered how to use the Steinwealth Client Portal, and today we're going to focus on the Wealthscape Investor portal as well. So why don't we just jump on in and go ahead and get started. And just an FYI, Kara will be posting a link to a document that we will also review for you to have, as well as conference call information if anybody needs to use their phone instead of their computer. But we're just going to jump right in and get going here. So we generally recommend that if you want to access Wealthscape Investor, you go through our website. So you go to steinwealth.com. That way you can make sure you're getting to the right link, as there are several different type of Wealthscape accounts depending on different situations. So we typically just say don't even bother Googling, just go to steinwealth.com. You can click access your accounts right here, and the Wealthscape Investor portal is right here for you to click on. Just to kind of summarize, most of your day-to-day information that we think you will want to access will be available on the Steinwealth Client Portal. And for those of you who missed the webinar on that, it is on our website for you to view anytime you'd like. But there are a few things on the Wealthscape Investor side that you may want access to that will not be available on the client portal. The first are official statements. So you can view snapshots and performance reports and summaries of all of your accounts on the Steinwealth Client Portal. But if you're looking for an official NFS custodial statement, the ones that come out either quarterly or monthly, those would be available to you online on the Wealthscape Investor side. Prospectuses, anytime that there's a new fund purchased in your account, you can view the prospectus through Wealthscape Investor. Also your tax documents, this would be things like 1099s. They're always available for you on this portal as well. Trade confirmations, so anytime we buy or sell something in your accounts, if you're not getting them via mail, or actually even if you are, they're always imaged for you on Wealthscape. As well as general broker-dealer and custodial correspondence. There's not a lot of this, but if there is a blanket notice that is going out to all clients of the custodian, they would be imaged as well. And you can also control your paperless settings from here, which we will certainly review. So that's the main thing. Just one thing to keep in mind, that Wealthscape Investor is specific only to accounts held in custody at National Financial Services or NFS. So this would not include something like an annuity or a 529 plan. Yeah, you may be able to still actually see those on the client portal, which is why we typically encourage people to utilize that for most of their account viewing, because it will aggregate all of the accounts that Steinwealth manages for you. But Wealthscape Investor will specifically only show you accounts that are National Financial Services, NFS. So why don't we just get started here. If you just click on the link, this will take you right to the login side, and you'll know you're in the right place if you see Mid-Atlantic Capital Corporation here, but our links will always be good for you. So first thing to keep in mind is, if for some reason you don't know your username and password and you have an active account, all you have to do is click Forget Password, and this will bring you to a reset site that you can utilize to go through the process and automatically reset your password for you without really having to do too much. So that's pretty simple. If for some reason you enter too many attempts and you are completely locked out, then your account will be frozen for security purposes, and you will need to reach out to us to have your account unfrozen. So I would recommend if you put in a username and password and it doesn't work the first time, maybe try again. After that, I'd suggest going to forget your password and resetting it, because if you do it too many times, you will get locked out. It's not the end of the world. You give us a call, somebody from our staff will get that unlocked for you, but it may save you a little bit of effort if you just click the forget password here and go ahead and reset it. If you've never set up a Wealthscape investor account, you're able to do that through the register. Pretty much all you need is an account number, just one, and the rest of the information you should have, like social security number, date of birth, etc. We're always able to help you with this as well, and typically we will do this oftentimes for you in a review meeting or a wrap-up meeting if you need. But for those of you who are tech savvy enough to register yourself, if you never have, you certainly can. And really the only piece of information you may not have on hand is the account number. We can always help you get that. So you're just going to go ahead and put in your username and password. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Click sign in. Now I'm using a demo account, so there's not going to be every single thing active, but we should be able to get through most of what you're going to want to see. So if this is your first time logging in, it may ask you to set some additional security questions, in which case you would just follow the prompts to do that, and you're able to pretty much have all of your security questions set. So on the main page here, the first thing I want to show you is the accounts section. And if you click this accounts button right here, it will show you an aggregate number here. And just remember that this is a demo account, so it's empty, but yours would have the value of all of your NFS accounts here, and then each separate account here. So this client here has an individual account as well as a joint account. And both of these can be viewed individually or as the aggregate here. You're also able to rename these accounts. So if you click on the little gear here, you can put in nicknames for these accounts. So you could say Josh, individual, and then let's say I name this one Stein, joint, and I click save. It's going to update those. Why didn't that work? There we go. So you can rename these to whatever you'd like to help you remember what they are, just by clicking that gear button. And then as you can see what I put in here, it showed. So that's just a nice little way for you, especially if you have multiple accounts, to keep in mind what they are, because the default's really just going to be like the account number and the registration. So if you also want to go into your paperless settings, right here on the main area, it's going to say go paperless, or you can always access it also by service, then document delivery instructions. And the one thing to keep in mind here is you have to set up your document delivery instructions on an account by account basis. So if you have more than one account, you have to do it for each one separately. Technically, you could have different document delivery instructions for different accounts. Most people don't, they do it across the board, but it does have to be done manually per account. So right here, this is our first account. I'm going to select the email address I want to use. And then I'm going to choose what I want to be delivered to me via electronically or via US mail. And the default is usually US mail, I think. Or you can just click this button here and it's going to set everything to document delivery. What we usually recommend is setting everything to document electronic delivery except your tax forms. We typically like for you to still get those via US mail just because it's a nice reminder. And typically those are printed out and given to an accountant or something like that anyways. They're still available electronically, even if you have them sent to your mail. But I think it's just nice to still get those in the mail as well. So what this will do is this will set your confirmations and prospectuses electronically, which means basically you're not going to get inundated with those big, thick prospectus documents, as well as every single trade confirmation that goes through your account. You still have access to them. They're just imaged online. Your statements, so your quarterly and monthly statements will no longer get mailed to you, but they'll be available for you immediately as soon as they're ready online. And general customer correspondence, shareholder reports, things like that. It will very much save a lot of mail that will get sent to you by doing this. So this is for this one account only. I'm going to click Save, Agree, and it's done. Now I must go to the second account here if I want to make any changes. So you can see here I need to change this to US Mail. I'm going to click Save, and I'm done. And I can go back and forth anytime if for some reason I change my mind or I want to make an adjustment. Just one thing to keep in mind for those of you who have managed accounts with us, the custodian does give you a discount on a trading fee if you keep your confirmations and your statements to electronic. That saves them a lot of postage, and in return they waive a transaction fee on each trade, and there's no cost to those if you keep those electronic. You're still permitted to have your tax documents and the correspondence via mail, but in particular trade confirmations, prospectuses, and statements. If you keep those electronic, it will save you a couple bucks per trade, which is a nice little bonus just by making those electronic. So that can all be done there. Remember, you have to do it by each account. Click Save, and you should be done. All right, so if you are going to want to view an account, you're going to click on the Accounts button like we just mentioned, and you're going to click on an individual account here, one or the other, and it's going to bring up all the positions. So if this were a live account, you would see all of the individual holdings inside the account. It'll show you the ticker symbol, the name of the position, whether it's a stock or a mutual fund or an exchange traded fund. It will show you how much it's worth, what the last value was, how many shares you have, what your cost basis is. All that information will be available for you here. You'll see all those positions. If you want to see previous sales and realize, this will give you like how much in capital gains possibly that have been realized. You'll be able to see this here. So you'll be able to see how much in short and long-term capital gains have already been realized for you for that calendar year. And you can always go back and look at various calendar years. So that's available for you to see there. Balances typically isn't a screen that most people are going to use, but it will show you, like, if you had margin. Most people don't. It'll show you what margin balances there are, if there's unsettled cash. Generally, you're not going to spend too much time in balances. Activity and orders is where you're going to see all of the account history. So again, if this were a live account, every single transaction would be shown here and the date of that transaction. And you could click on a transaction and bring up a transaction summary that will show you what was purchased, how much was purchased, at what share price, how many shares, all of that information. Your advisory fees will be able to be seen here. It says portfolio service fee here. Any withdrawals or contributions would be here. So all of your account history is available on this page. You would just select the duration of time that you want to see. The default is today and yesterday, but you can go back pretty darn far and view transaction history or account history pretty far. You can sort by different types of transactions, but typically just by trade date or transaction date is how most people are going to do that. So that's all available for you here. Again, a lot of this is available for you on the SignWealth Client Portal also. And technically, that's where this data is feeding from. It's actually feeding from your Wealthscape Investor portal. So this is kind of the data source. But either can really be used to monitor and track history. Order status would be like if you had an open order for an investment, a stock or a mutual fund or something like that. If it were open, you'd see it here. Once it's filled, you'd see it filled on that day, and it would tell you the share price. Most of the time, you're not going to really pay much attention to order status. So typically, just under account history is where you're going to view the activity that's going on in your account. The next tab here is Documents. And under Documents is where you're going to view all of your paperless settings. As you can see here, it says statements are available for the previous 120 months. So it's going to give you quite a bit of back history. So here is where all of your statements would image if this were a real account, and they will be in order by date. You'll be able to view if you household your account with other household members like a spouse. You'll be able to view the household statement as well as the quarterly statements individually. And then if you have monthly statements because you had activity month to month, they will be available here as well. If you click on confirmations, this will bring up any transaction confirmations that you would want to view here, and you can sort by the period of time that you want to view. All of your transaction trade confirmations in one time period are all on one statement. So let's say we bought and sold 3 different things in your account at once. Although it's 3 separate transactions, you'll be able to see them. Typically, they all come on one confirmation because they're on the same day. So you would pull up that day's trade confirmation, and then you'd see all 3 transactions for your account on that one statement here. Tax documents is an important one. This is where you're going to get your 1099s. So again, if this were a live account, it would show here's 2019. The minute that they are finalized, they're imaged into your account, and you would be able to view and print or download your 1099s or 5498s or whatever various tax documents you have for that account right here. Keep in mind, this is on an account basis. So let's say theoretically I needed to get 2 different 1099s. I would go back to the other account here and go to Documents and download the account 1099 there. So if you have multiple accounts, just remember this is going to view by account, not by a group. They're going to have to go to each account to download those documents and statements or whatever that is. Correspondence is just going to be general correspondence that the custodian is sending. So here you can see there's a few things. When we opened up the account, it had imaged a welcome letter saying, welcome to National Financial Services. You now have a new account. So all of that information gets imaged for you here. If any account profile information changes or suitability or address change or anything like that, those correspondence questionnaires would be imaged for you here for you to view, print, or do whatever you'd like with. So, that's kind of nice because most of the time these just go right in the garbage when they get mailed to you. Now you have the access to them, but they are not necessarily taking up space in your mailbox. So that's most of what you're going to kind of look at on a regular basis. Profile features, is really not much here you're going to utilize, but this is just going to show you like if you have beneficiaries on your account, the registered address, trusted contact we've gotten set up on most people's accounts. You'd be able to see who you authorized as a trusted contact here. So just general kind of account profile information is all here. It'll show you what your document delivery instructions are that you've set up. So just kind of the general back information on the accounts will be available here. So again, you can do that on an account by account basis by clicking on each one here on the left side. That's most of it. If I just go back to the home screen here, if you click on reports, in markets and research, there's all sorts of information that you will have access to. I don't think a lot of people utilize it, but it is here, and actually it's good information, and it's a nice resource for people if you kind of do want to poke around. So you can go to a market overview, and it's just going to give you some key data points. Here's the Dow, what's the S&P doing today. You can look at economic overviews, and it's going to give you more information just about general economic indicators. World overview. You go back to here. You can set up a watch list of different tickers if you were interested in doing that. You can always get quotes on any security you want. It'll give you quotes there. They're not real time. I think they're delayed 15 minutes, but they are available for you to look at there. News, if you want to just kind of see what's going on in the world, you're going to be able to get some information here on news. So there's some different things you can look at here. You can do stock screeners, ETF screeners, mutual fund screeners are available for you. I don't think most people are going to necessarily utilize a lot of that information, but it is there for you. There's some planning calculators. You can go ahead and look at those if you'd like, but not probably too much that people are going to do, because we have much more sophisticated tools at Steinwell. The only other thing I think is worth kind of looking at here is if you do go to user preferences. This is where you would make changes to your account. So technically you can edit your account name, like I just talked to you about. You can also edit what the default start page is. Here's where you would change your password. Here's where you would change your security questions. And this one people may do is change your username. So when you first register for Wealthscape Investor, you're given a numerical username. They usually start with the number 6. You can set it to anything you'd like, as long as it's not in use and it follows their guidelines, by going into the section I just showed you and then setting up your username here. So we already had set one up by default, but you can get rid of that numerical username if you want. Just make sure you remember what it is, and now you'll have something that maybe you can remember a little bit easier. So that's the majority of it. We have created a nice resource now in addition to this webinar for you to use, but this is a print version as well that you will be able to have access to, that pretty much walks you through everything I just talked about in paper format also. The last thing I want to point out is Wealthscape Investor does have a mobile app. It is available through the App Store or the Google Play Store. There also is a iPad version as well as a iPhone version, and both of those have some different functionalities on them. The iPad version has a little bit more that you can access. I believe you are able actually to access statements and things like that directly on your iPad, whereas on the iPhone version, I think you're a little bit more limited. But on either version, you can get a nice mobile experience logging in to view a lot of this information through the Wealthscape Investor app. Just make sure when you're searching, you search for Wealthscape Investor. There is also just a Wealthscape app. Don't be confused by that. That's the advisor version. So that's the one I would use to log in and view multiple accounts across our client base. You use the Wealthscape Investor app, and you'll see that having the investor here. The other nice thing you can do on the app is mobile check deposit. So just a side note, you use the same username and password to access the app as you do online. The only caveat is you have to register using a computer. So you can't register for the first time using an app. But once you have a valid username and password, you can download the apps and use your same username and password. The nice thing that you can do on here is if you ever wanted to make a mobile deposit into one of your accounts, maybe it's an IRA contribution, or if it's a joint account or an individual account and you just wanted to make a deposit, you can do that up to, I believe it's $25,000. Anything over that you would have to send to us. But if you wanted to make a deposit into your account, it's pretty simple. You follow the instructions that we have here, and they match what you're going to get walked through on the app. But basically you would find the account you want to go to, and you then take a picture of your check that you've written out front and back, and you choose, you would endorse it as well. You choose how much money you want to go into each account if you're splitting it between multiple accounts, and then basically take a picture of both sides, follow the prompts, and boom, it's done. It sends us an alert saying that a check has been deposited and you're good to go. So a nice feature if you just kind of want to make an easy deposit. We're always happy, of course, to help you with that, or there's other ways to get money into your account as well. But just keep in mind that it does take time for that check to process, just like it does normally. And checks need to be submitted before 4 p.m. in order for them to post for the next day. But a nice little feature if you're just looking to write a check real quick and get it deposited into your account. So that can be done on the mobile app. So that's most of the information, and hopefully that helps a little bit get you familiar with Wealthscape Investor. There's a lot of information on there. Again, I think on a day-to-day basis, most people are just going to utilize the Steinwell Client Portal. I think it's a little bit more client-friendly, but there are very specific things that we reviewed today that are only available to you on the Wealthscape portal. So thank you for taking the time to review this, and we will have this on the website for anybody to view anytime. And hopefully you found this valuable. So we appreciate you stopping by, and we will talk to everybody soon.